The following demonstration builds a single-screen Go app that accepts input, writes it to a local table, and then renders it to the user's screen. It's a powerful demonstration of how easy it is to develop, deploy, and present a fully functional app on multiple devices in around 10 minutes. It not only showcases the functionality of Studio, but also illustrates the speed with which you can develop and deploy on various devices. It consists of an edit form component and a repeater component. The edit form is used to capture the user's input. Every time the user clicks the submit button, the user's data is encrypted and cached locally in the client. The repeater is used to display this data. Let's start by creating a new project. I'm going to store this file on my desktop, and I'm going to call this project Demo App. Whenever you create a new project within Go AppZone Studio, this is the screen that you're typically presented with. On the left you have your toolbox, in the middle you have your pages, and on the right hand side you have the Project Explorer and Properties. The toolbox on the left provides you with access to all of the components you need to build your Go apps. You simply drag and drop these components into the page in order to build them. The Project Explorer provides you with quick access to your project settings, to your data and data methods, and to the individual pages within your app. So far, we've only got a single page in this example. You can also add your own custom CSS files and your own code libraries. The page itself can be viewed in split mode or code view. Split mode gives you a visual representation of the layout of the page, whereas code view gives you access to the underlying code. Let's go to the dataset and let's create a new local table. Click New Table. This starts up the local table creation wizard. Click Next. I'm going to call this table Local Table. Click Next. And I'm going to define 4 different fields. The first is called ID, and its type is int 32. It's our primary key, and it doesn't allow nulls. The second is called Name, and it's a string, and it does allow nulls. The third is called Male, and it's going to be a boolean. And the fourth is age, and it's a string and it allows nulls. Click Finish, and there we have a visual representation of our table. Let's go back to the page. Now we've defined our data store, how we're going to store the data in a table. What we haven't done is define any means to input data to write into this table, so we're going to use an edit form. I've just dragged and dropped that in there, and I've hit the format button, and that's formatting the JavaScript that you see on your screen. So we have the properties on the right down there. Let's go within the template tags, and let's drag and drop a text box, a checkbox, and another text box. Let's format that. Okay. Select the top checkbox, and when you select that, you see that the properties change in the bottom right. You have the option to change the input style. We'll come back to that later on. Let's change the ID to txt name. Scroll down, and let's change the text value, which is the label, to name : You can see that those changes are reflected in the actual source. Let's go to the checkbox, change the ID to CHK male, and let's change the label to male : Let's select the final checkbox, change the ID to txt age, and the text label to age : And let's format that. And you can see it's nicely formatted now, and you can see all the changes we've made. Let's go to the simulator, the Go AppZone simulator, and let's have a preview of what we've just done. So there you see it. There's the labels and the text boxes and the checkbox. So the name one, let's type in test. The age one, let's type in 22. You can also change the skins, so you can change to Android, iOS, or Windows, so you can get a preview of how your app will appear across the different platforms. Let's close that. And let's go to below the edit form, and we're going to drag and drop what we call a repeater. So the edit form provides us with a mechanism to input data. The repeater will provide us with a way of displaying that data to the screen. Repeaters need to be bound to a data source. So I've gone to the properties, I've selected source, I'm going to select the local database tab, and then I've selected local table. This is the table we defined at the beginning. Select DB order by, select ID, and leave the order as ascending. And this orders the result set. So it orders them according to the ID value, so ascending from small value to high values. So let's go within the template tag. And now let's define the layout. Let's define what's going to be displayed in terms of rows and cells. I just dragged and dropped a table in there. And click Format. And I'm going to have 4 cells. So we've got a table body, and we have got a single row, and I've got 3 cells. I'm just going to tidy that up. I'm going to copy and paste just one final cell, and we just adjust the formatting. What we're going to do next is drag and drop values into those individual cells. Before we do that, I'm going to put a head at the top of the table. So these are the headings for the table. So we've got one called ID, one called name, one called male, and one called age. Let's scroll up in the toolbox, drag and drop a label, and do the same for the other 3 cells. And the final cell. Let's format that. Let's change the first label, and let's bind it to the ID value of the table. Second one, let's bind it to the name value. Third one, let's bind it to the male boolean value. And finally, let's bind the age value to the final cell. So we have a row, a single row broken into 4 different cells of equal sizes, and let's run that and see what it looks like. So you can see there's the edit form at the top, and then you've got the table heading with all its various entries. Now we haven't entered any data yet, so nothing's being displayed within our previewer, Go AppZone Simulator. Go AppZone Simulator is able to pull live data, real data, and display that, just to make your job that little bit easier as you're building your app. And what I've added here is an action button. The action button is within the edit form, and it's the way that we submit that. So I've changed the text property to submit, and I've gone to events, and I have gone to on click, hit the ellipsis, and here you're presented with what we call the code editor. Now that's the name of a JavaScript function. We've yet to write this or put this into the page, but I've added it there, and it'll be called whenever you click on the action button that we just defined, the submit button. I've saved my work, and what I need to do now is to add that JavaScript within the page. So I'm going beneath the repeater, I'm going to cut and paste that in, and let me format that, scroll down, and there you go. There's the insert local function. Takes 3 parameters: name, male, and then age, and then it sets up a new object of type go.db and passes a string to it called insert. So it's inserting a value into our local database, and then it executes it and then reloads that data so that it's displayed within the repeater. So let's run the Go AppZone Simulator again. Let's type in some values. Let's type in the first one, Yanis. No, let's make that John. Select male and an age of 34, submit. And you can see that that value is being displayed within our table. Let's try some more. Helen, she's not male. and she's 19. And you can see that it's being ordered by the ID value ascending, so value 1 first, then value 2, and so on. I can change the skin, so let's see what it looks like on Android. Let's have a look at iOS, and let's have a look at Windows Phone. Let's close that down. Scroll up. And let me just show you very quickly how easy it is to change the look and feel of elements using our technology. I'm going to change the label style, hit the ellipsis, and you have the style builder, which assists you with the CSS for the elements within your page. I'm going to change the color to a green color, and there it is. There's the value, the hexadecimal value for that, and it's inserted it into the label style property. Let's run that again. And you've got the name, and let's change the skin. Let's see what it looks like. So across all of them, it's been changed. Let's save that. CSS, you also have the ability to add your own style sheets that override the default. So I'm going to paste in one that we built earlier, just to show you how easy this is. So we don't need to worry about the details of this, but it's quite a nice style sheet. And I have to put in a series of includes at the very top of the page. I'm cutting and paste those in. Go include, and then the file name, and then the target. And these are each of the different platforms that you want this CSS file to affect. Let's go to the project settings. Let's turn off use default style, because we want to use the new CSS. And let's run that again. And you can see that we've added shadows and a completely different look and feel to the page by changing that CSS value out. So let's type in another value, Maria. Not male, and the age is 33. Click submit. And you can see that's being added to the table, the repeater, and it persists between instances or sessions of the simulator. I'm going to delete the label style attributes and show you one final feature within Go AppZone Studio before we close. Simulator also provides shortcuts to specific platforms. So here we've got the Android simulator. So it gives you an instant rendering of what your app will look like within an Android device. Here's the same for the iPhone simulator. So let me type in another name, Panos, male, and 30. Click submit. And you can see that data is being added and displayed within the repeater. And then finally we've got the Windows Phone. And that concludes today's presentation. I hope you found it informative and that it illustrated the power and simplicity of the Go AppZone Studio.